本期视频是印度网红学者扎夫达近日油管直播的节选。有网友问：如果世界三强都不在了，印度能不能成为唯一超级大国？我们看看他是怎么说的吧。
Okay, let's see this. Chirag Avasthi says if World War III occurs and major nations like the US, Russia, and China destroy each other while India remains neutral, will India emerge as a superpower similar to the USA after World War II? That is a great question. First of all, if World War III happens, it won't be between the US and China. It will be a war between the US and Russia. China is not even in the picture when it comes to the two most powerful nations in the world. China is the second largest economy in the world. But when it comes to hard power, China is leagues behind Russia. Russia is very close in power, hard power to the US. And primarily because of its gigantic nuclear weapons arsenal. So a World War III would only be a war between the US and Russia, and maybe the Chinese would ally with Russia if they wish to. Okay, that depends on a number of factors. So let's say there's World War III, and these nations destroy each other. Okay, let's say China is also involved. So it's the US versus Russia and China, let's say. And in such a scenario, I think all three nations will get smashed up. There's gonna be, assuming there's nuclear exchange, that would mean that almost nothing survives. It means that the US is like 80-90% gone, so is Russia, so is China. Now, here's the deal. If that happens and India remains neutral, India will remain neutral in this. So if India remains neutral, will India emerge as a superpower similar to the US after the Second World War? That is the question. And my answer, regrettably, is no, it won't remain a superpower. And let me explain why India won't remain a superpower, even if the US and Russia and China get destroyed. Okay, 1 second. So let me put something on the screen. So first of all, understand that if there's a nuclear exchange, there's going to be complete devastation in the world. Now look at this. So the United States, they have something called the Single Integrated Operational Plan, this SIOP. Okay. Now this is a classified thing. It's a guarded secret, but it's been around since the days of Kennedy. And it's kind of known what this is. So the SIOP is what they do if they go to nuclear war. And it's premised on the notion that America would be the largest surviving civilization if there is a nuclear exchange. But to guarantee that America remains the largest surviving civilization, we have to kill everybody in the world. So most presidents would say that is madness. We need a different option, but they typically don't get other options. So the Pentagon always gives them options that inevitably lead to that scenario where the Americans have to kill everyone. So George Bush brought this back again, and so on. So what this means is that we are going to blow up, we means the Americans, we're going to blow up the entire world, because we know that in a post-nuclear environment, we can't allow, for instance, India to survive intact. If we are reduced to 30% of our capacity, we can't allow India to have a superior civilization in a post-nuclear conflict. We're going to destroy India, we're going to destroy the whole world. That's what the American nuclear war plan is. Okay? And it's on automatic status. So it will happen automatically. Once the red button is pressed, it will all be programmed, and it will just happen on its own. Nobody will then be able to stop it or change the sequence of nations that are destroyed and so on. It's going to happen on automatic. So if there's a third world war, if the US starts or is part of a nuclear exchange with anyone, then a sequence of events is already pre-programmed in that red button, which involves destroying India. So forget about emerging as a superpower, my friends. India won't exist if there's a nuclear war between the US and Russia, or between the US and China, or between the US and Russia plus China. Even though India has nothing to do with this, they will destroy India. Interesting. And It's not hypothetical. If war happens, they will do it. They will destroy India. So what should India do about this? What should India do about this? If nuclear war happens, which doesn't involve India, we are guaranteed to be destroyed. They will make sure of it. So what should India do? India will cease to exist. I would say that India should increase its stockpile of nuclear weapons to at least 1,000, and send them the message that you destroy us, you won't survive either. That's what I would say. It's a ghastly, horrible, hideous scenario, but that's what these people are capable of. So I think India should also be prepared that if somebody wants to annihilate us, they won't survive intact. This is unfortunately the consequence of their kind of thinking. We did not come up with this plan, right? But we have to respond in some way. So I think India needs to increase its nuclear weapon stockpile to maybe at least 1,000, which will serve other purposes also, of course. But yeah, if somebody wants to just destroy us for no reason, there's no need to allow them to survive either. So yeah, good question that you've asked me, and it's absolutely ghastly that this sort of thinking exists in the world.